Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to share with you just how lazy of a gardener I am. I love growing food, but I also realize that I'm bound by certain limitations that don't allow me to grow food the way that I want to, one of which being time. So what we ended up doing was planting plants that were edible that basically grew on their own. I mean, the general rule over here is that if it's a high maintenance plant, we're probably not gonna grow it. So let's take a quick tour of the front and the backyard. Let me show you some of these insanely low maintenance plants, perfect for the lazy gardener. And I know a handful of you out there are homesteaders. This might give you some ideas as to what you might be able to grow on your property that are absolutely no-brainers. I mean, they literally grow on their own. They're perfect for the lazy gardener. Let's go take a peek.
The first plant in our edible yard is the Keffir lime tree. This lime tree is native to Southeast Asia and used primarily for its very aromatic leaves. We planted this from seed about 7 years ago, and it's done amazing. We actually have about 5 or 6 trees on the property. This is a lemongrass, a great plant to have, not only because it helps keep the mosquitoes and some of the insects away, but it's also great for Southeast Asian cooking, making teas. In addition to the lemongrass, we also grow turmeric, ginger, and galangal. Highly suggest growing all of those. In our courtyard, we built a stumpery, which is home to some really great frogs, and it's where our rabbits have their babies, but we needed a little shade, so we planted a Moringa oleifera tree. This is the Moringa tree, also known as the tree of life. Highly recommend having this on your property. 100% of this tree is edible from the seed, from the flower, to the roots, to the bark. It's absolutely amazing. The leaves are packed with so many vitamins. And so we try to have several of these on the property. And it actually grows in most climate zones. So that's the Moringa. This right here is our mango tree. Absolutely amazing. Grows very well in the area that we live and produces nice little mangoes. We usually pick them early to make a green mango salsa, but the wood could also be used for smoking or barbecuing. We also do a lot of container gardening because sometimes we have to move things around depending on the weather. And we've got about 60 or 70 pepper plants in containers. This is the chocolate habanero, and that's pretty much the only pepper that we grow. We kind of gave up growing the world's hottest peppers just because they were absolutely insane. And this is the one that if I could recommend one pepper for you to grow, I would recommend the chocolate habanero. Amazing pepper. Let's take a look at our fence line. Now, our fence line has died back from last year, but as you can see right here, we've got something that is just starting to grow. This particular food is called the chayote. It's also known as the mirliton or the alligator pear. It's a vegetable that is very, very low in carbs and extraordinarily prolific. I mean, this thing grows like crazy. The chayote can grow quite large, and it's a vegetable that takes on the flavor of basically whatever you're cooking. So you can go sweet and do, apple pie with this vegetable, or you could go savory and throw it in your stews. It's absolutely incredible. And I was looking for some fruit, but it's a little early in the season, so we don't have any fruit yet. But this will eventually take over the entire fence. We do some vermicomposting because our business has a lot of, potato peels and carrot peels and, vegetables and things like that. So we give those to our worms. And I love digging in these bins because you find the neatest surprises. This is an absolutely healthy potato plant. We've got this volunteer plant growing out of nowhere. Let's see what that is right quick. What is that? Oh, right. That is a Haas avocado tree that's growing out there. So we can plant that and add that to the list of edible stuff on the property. Let's look at this third little bin. Another very healthy potato plant. This will give us potatoes in a couple months or so. And let's see what this one is. Oh, it looks like we have another Haas avocado. Extremely well rooted inside this bin. Makes me think I ought to stick other plants in there to get them rooted quickly. Absolutely amazing. Also in containers, we do a lot of tomatoes. And I tried to do the heirloom tomatoes, but where I live, they just did not work out so good. And these are just regular local tomatoes. They never get any diseases. Absolutely easy to grow. Swiss chards and lettuces and kales and spinaches and whatnot. We grow plenty of those. Also asparagus. Highly recommend, if you can, growing asparagus on your property. Great plant, great root structure, produces for 10 years or something like that. And it's just absolutely amazing. And so I think this is Mary Washington, if I remember correctly. This is a huge eucalyptus tree that was cut down before we showed up. But I built a planter around it to take advantage of that composting tree. And in that planter, we have sweet potatoes, also known as camote, and they are loving it here. I mean, full sun, composted soil, and they are just absolutely prolific. They can be a bit of a groundhog, so I like keeping them confined. And speaking of groundhogs, we also have pumpkin squash. These plants are great because they grow like crazy. They produce nice big pumpkins, and we really don't have to do a whole lot to them. We just go pick the pumpkins when they're ready, and so that's really cool. Our next edible plant is a plant that I have a love-hate relationship with. These are our banana trees and our plantain trees. And as you can see right now, they are just loaded with bananas. I'll show you the plantains here in a second. And once the bananas or plantains get harvested, then you cut the tree down and then you compost it or do something with it. But it is large, it's heavy, it's very, very wet. These are the plantains right here. And let me show you what a bundle looks like. We just cut one down yesterday. They get very heavy and they pull the tree over. And so what we'll do is we'll just hang this in a shady area for about a week or so. And they'll ripen, and then we can make the patacones or whatever, eat them, whatever you want to do with, plantains and bananas. Let's talk about berries. I love growing berries. These are blackberries. We had to put them in pots because our rabbits got kind of crazy with them. This is a berry known as the Cape gooseberry. Grows like a little tomatillo. Very flavorful berry, also known as a ground cherry. This particular berry, I'm actually not sure what it's called. I don't think it's a thimbleberry. It resembles a raspberry, not nearly as sweet, but incredibly prolific. I mean, we can't kill this if we wanted to. It just keeps popping up all over the place. So we have this little area designated for it. But that's what the fruit looks like. Produces tons of fruit. Very tasty. Love having that on the property. And let's talk about dragon fruit. So this is relatively new. It's a project I started. If you've been keeping up with this series on how to grow dragon fruit, you're getting a little sneak peek as to what's on the horizon. Dragon fruit is incredibly easy to grow. It's super tasty, very healthy, and will grow in most climates. We've planted ours in the ground, but if you don't have a lot of space, you can plant these in containers and they'll do just fine. Now, this particular plant is actually really interesting. This is called Yucca, also known as the cassava root. This is such a great plant because it's drought tolerant. It's incredibly versatile. I mean, you could boil it, fry it, mash it. We like making yucca fries out of it and dipping them in barbecue sauce. I think it's easier to grow than potatoes, and yucca is actually a staple food source for millions of people. And so it's absolutely incredible. Let me dig one up and you can see what it looks like. And if you're interested in seeing a video on how we prepare yucca, be sure to give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment in the comment section. So notice how easy it is to pull out of the ground. It's not very deep. Those tubers at the bottom, much like yams or potatoes, that's the carb source. And if I break off the branches before I toss the plant, those branches will produce an entirely new plant. And that's what I'm going to do right here. So typically, whenever we pull one out of the ground, we usually plant 3 more just by breaking off the branches, sticking them right in there, and that'll root very quickly. And in next to no time, that plant will be ready to harvest. So we have yucca scattered throughout the place. We also have pineapple. Now, pineapple is a plant that takes actually quite a little while to grow, but if you are patient and you don't mind waiting, you can just take the top of the pineapple off when you buy pineapple from the store and plant that right into the ground or into a pot. And in a year or so, a literal pineapple will come out of the top of that plant. This is pretty cool. I just found out that we had the Melipona bee where I live, and so I got my hands on a vanilla orchid, and after rooting it, we just placed it here against the tree where it'll grow beautifully, nature will take its course, and hopefully we'll get vanilla beans. These 2 structures, we planted passion fruit on either side, and as you can see, they just completely covered both structures. The one on the right is a sweet variety of passion fruit known as Granadilla. This is what the flower looks like in its progression. Beautiful flower, very aromatic, attracts lots and lots of bees. The fruit is mildly acidic. It's actually more sweet. The seeds are crunchy and edible. This is what the flower looks like. Beautiful flower. Let me show you what the flower looks like on the other passion fruit. This is the more traditional flavored passion fruit. This is the one that has those sourly notes. Very, very tasty. This is great for juices, leathers, desserts. It's awesome. And right now we've got loads of fruit on this very prolific plant. Let me show you inside this little house. We've got fruit hanging from all over the place. And also notice this is where our bunnies like to get away from the sun. And so we've got rabbits all over the place, and they like to hang out in this little room. There's a couple more rabbits just chilling, taking a little rest in the dirt. We've tried to do chickens and quails and geese in the past, and rabbits seem to be the thing that work for us. I mean, their manure is amazing fertilizer. These are really great comfort animals. I mean, beside the fact that they're insanely cute, they're very quiet. So they're not making a ruckus like the geese did. You know what I'm saying? The meat is incredible, very tasty, and they're very friendly, very playful animals. And so they live a very happy life. This particular one wants to chase me down and get some pets. What's great about cuniculture is that you don't need a lot of space. And if you want, you can actually let your rabbits free range. But just be warned, if you let your rabbits free range, they will literally eat everything. And so you have to block off whatever plants you don't want them to completely destroy. And then, of course, there's the babies, so separating the male and the females might be a good idea. Unless, of course, you just want hundreds and hundreds of adorable bunny rabbits. Let's take a look from up top, and as you can see, there's still plenty of space. We still have a lot of dragon fruit that we're going to put in pots. We've got that avocado we need to find a home for. And then there's all the stuff that I completely forgot to mention, like the loofah, which is totally edible when it's young and very usable when it's mature. We've got the green onions and the chives and the herbs, which are absolutely amazing and grow brilliantly.
All right, everybody, there you have it. That's our edible landscape. As you can see, we're sort of bent towards the tropical stuff, but we do live in the tropics. I mean, here where we live, there are basically two seasons. It's either raining or it's not. And each one of those seasons lasts about 6 months. The average temperature is roughly 73 to 76 Fahrenheit year-round, and we do have a 12-month growing season. And a really cool goal for a lot of people is self-sufficiency. And as you can see from this video, we're not even remotely close to being self-sufficient. We grow the plants that we can on the plot of land that we occupy, given the time constraints that we have, and they do amazing. But we live in a really cool community where some of our friends have giant farms that grow lots of vegetables, others do pigs, others do beef, some do chicken and eggs. And so when we need something, we go to them. When they need something, they come to us. And really, at the end of the day, I think community is the essence and the heart of a proper homestead. So thanks a lot for watching. If you have any cool ideas or plants that you grow on your property that are easy and perfect for the lazy gardener, be sure to leave them in the comment section below. If you like this video, give it a great big thumbs up. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell. We appreciate you watching. Be sure to stay tuned. This weekend, we have got a really, really cool charcuterie update. I look forward to seeing you then. Bye-bye.